Hello, I'm Rob Stukenborg, and this is my Writing 102 Epilogue vlog post. The first thing I noticed about the class was I had no idea that there was a theme for Writing 102, and I can't say I was necessarily super excited when I found out it was pop culture, but the more and more we worked on it, the more and more I realized that I was incredibly thankful I got in a pop culture class. And the first assignment that I want to look at is my Connect 10. I had an academic, a personal, and a social goal, and I feel like my academic goal was totally achieved. My personal goal, somewhat, and my social goal is also going great. Um, I would say probably every single year of my academic life I've had to make a sort of resolution list in some capacity, so that was something that was familiar for me. And the first weekly write, I wrote about the Planet of the Apes, and this is when I used all the suggested dates for the weekly writes, and I was keeping up with them. Over the last few weeks, I got a little behind on my weekly writes and had to do 3 or 4 in one week instead of spacing it out more. But that was a fun weekly write to go on. And also, my second weekly write, this was the one about the different television shows in different regions, which are the most popular. And it was kind of an assignment that I enjoyed doing because I like demographics. I like how different shows try to reach different audiences. So that was another interesting assignment we got to do in this class. And my 220 daily write, it was supposed to use a hashtag to talk about class, and I looked at it, and I had totally forgotten about this. The projector didn't work in class one time, so I labeled it hashtag broken board day. And I think that might be the only time all semester where we had major technical difficulties in any way, which is incredible considering how much we used our laptops this class. And as much as I've used laptops in school before, this is probably the least technical difficulties I had ever had. The Connect 10 from February 22nd was a brainstorming activity, and most of the daily writes, I feel like they're either brainstorming activities or reflection activities. And this was something that I had never thought about doing, never done. It was taking my sources and the people who my paper was on and making a small conversation between them. While it didn't produce anything that I could just plug straight into my paper, it got me thinking about the people who I was writing about, which was very interesting. And I talked about the brainstorm tag. This is one of my most popular tags because it was in most daily writes. I also had a tag called list because we did a lot of listicles rather than just writing paragraphs. The other most popular tags I had were reflection and photos because we reflected a lot. We also used photos to talk about what we were going to be writing about. Just for example, from February 1st, we just had to put a few funny writing memes. And I'm going to move on here to the first page, which feels not as long as the second. The Unit 1 reaction, I actually really enjoyed Unit 1 because I used Twitter a lot. So I was already on Twitter. I already knew who I wanted to do. I personally really liked the person who my topic was about, Damian Lillard. And he actually won an award recently about being the best NBA basketball player when it comes to relations with media, which is awesome because you can just tell from his Twitter account, which is what I learned during this paper, that he cares deeply about his brand and his reflection. I also forgot about writing the kernel essays for Unit 1, and that was a very helpful practice. Yeah, I wrote that I found the kernel essay quests helpful. So that was something good that we got to do during that unit. During the synthesis review vlog, I didn't want to just kind of sit there and talk in front of a camera. So I wrote out some cue words on a sheet of paper, and I don't even know if it'll let me play. Oh, it will. So I wrote out some cue words on a sheet of paper so that way I had something to look at and something I could kind of flip to. And those were really just the key points of what my synthesis paper was about. So I liked that approach. And my 320 daily write, it talks about a billboard I noticed when I was in Colorado. And it was a meme that they had transformed into a Taco Bell billboard, which was incredible that memes could come to a place where they're so universally recognized that they can be used as advertising on a major interstate in Denver, Colorado. We talked about memes a lot in class this year. So I showed you an example of some earlier. So that was a good experience. And my Unit 3 reflection, I feel like a lot of people struggled with Unit 3. They didn't like it. It was longer. You had to research. But that was actually, I thought, the best unit for me. I love doing things like the in-class essay as a sort of outline for my paper. I was already really knowledgeable on my topic by the time I started, and it was a topic that I was very interested in because it was basketball and just the changing trends of basketball and of fashion. And the last one I want to talk about here in the review epilogue vlog is my multimodal reflections. These are just some inspirations that while I was recording my multimodal podcast, I was thinking of in my head. This is a podcast that I listen to pretty often, and it helped me kind of shape what I wanted to do. This was just a picture that I found of Russell Westbrook, who won one of the awards we talked about in the podcast. And this is Craig Sager, who the podcast was dedicated to. Blue Apron, I saw that you commented on my grade and said you enjoyed the ad. I thought that was a fun way to incorporate something into the multimodal podcast. This was the song I used in the background of it, and J.R. Smith, another inspiration for the award show that we had. So I hope you enjoyed my epilogue vlog, and you enjoy reading my blog as you go through it. Thank you.